I did, yes, she's fine. Want a paper copy there?
Do you have one?
I can make you.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Start with- Oh, yeah, yep. I hear a motion to come out of the executive session.
Second.
Motion at 7:12 to come out of executive session with no action taken. All those, and we have a second, all those in favor? Okay, so we'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is that going? Okay.
That is go, yes. Yes.
All right, first item is approval of agenda. Additions, deletions.
Tentative is off as far as...
The tentative is on. That will be acted on this evening.
I do have a committee and board report for the finance committee. I can see that on here.
Okay, anything else? No, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Okay. Next item is public forums, public comment on any non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that would like to make a comment? Please state your name so that we can hear it.
My name is Jen Morales. I'm a resident of Arundel. I also own a business, Winks Arundel. I'm here to ask the town tonight, how can a group of resident volunteers work on a committee for almost 2 years on a project where it affects 26 parties, hold several workshops, and invite the public to come in and give their opinion or participate. We have 2 parties that I'm aware of, there might be a few more, that oppose the project that we're working on. And then have the town side with those 2 parties. I don't understand how this comes about. I don't understand why it's not put up to the voters of Arundel to decide. And I'm just looking for an answer to how that all happens.
I can make a quick comment. As far as siding, I'm not sure what you mean by the town siding, because nothing has been decided yet. If you're talking about the issue that happened at the last planning board meeting, nothing was decided on. I mean, there were ideas that were planted by the planner, but nothing has been decided upon, so.
Now, I'm going back to a meeting that was held at the Comprehensive Planning Board on February of 2014, where at that time we were attending, and we had asked if we could have the townhouse corner area be its own warrant item. And it was provided to us by the planner that the town does not wish to do that because of the whole comprehensive plan being redone, that there are going to be needed definitions, and each area would have to follow these definitions. However, the people that were involved in this project asked if it could be its own separate warrant. Understanding that in the beautiful world that we live in, if everything was to go together, it would work. However, we are behind on our comprehensive planning, and this group of people did not want to wait 6 more years for the definitions to come about. And then when we met with the comprehensive planning board again, it was addressed by the town that it was going to be written as a combined item with DB1 and townhouse corner. So that's where that whole lies. If you have a group of people that work on the board, several boards, who have given their approval and what they feel is to be to the town's best interest, then why does the town go ahead and write what it did? We don't give the people of Arundel that right to vote.
Generally, the comprehensive plan was put before the voters in the past.
It wasn't brought to you, gentlemen, the board of selectmen. There was a warrant fee going to the May meeting that never made it to you. It was stopped that night.
But the comprehensive plan did go to the voters.
That was a planning board, Jack.
The planning board.
Okay. So we passed,
I'm sorry.
townhouse corner was part of the whole package that
I'm
passed.
sorry, you're correct.
Okay.
It was,
We're all aware that the planning board voted after that public hearing not to move anything forward because of all of the issues that were raised at that meeting. That was a decision of the planning board, not even.
no, I agree with you there, Tom. I
Yeah.
didn't interrupt. I'm going back one step further.
Okay.
Why, when it was brought to the town, we were asked for that warrant item to be separate, to not be attached with Route 1, even though we understood the definitions should go together,
Yeah.
we still asked for that warrant to be a separate item. And it was not presented. And then I was told that because of the timing, there was no way that that warrant could be rewritten because we have to have it 30 days before a town meeting. There's a procedure. I understand all of that because I've been on this committee for 2 years, making sure that everything's lined up accordingly. So I don't know how you can ask these people to volunteer their time and do their recommendations and be told at one meeting that yes, it can be. And then when it comes to the issue, when we're 30 days before the town meeting, it's not written that way.
Well, I think some of the issues were, and I agree 100%, I think that the townhouse corner district should have been a separate issue. But I think because of the timing of everything that the planning board was trying to work on, the planning board was under the gun to try to do so many changes, and our planning board, things doesn't happen just like that. I mean, they rehash stuff over and over, and I was on that board for 9 years, so I know how it is, but.
And they put in endless hours, and that's why when after the first year passed, I said, fine, I'll work with the comprehensive planning board. I'll have the workshops, do that part. Oftentimes I offer free food for people to come to the public and put their input in. I want the chance for the townspeople of Arundel to have that opportunity to say no. We're not given that chance. If the town is going to keep doing, going against what the townspeople are asking, then why have the comprehensive planning? Why have these meetings? If I can't have the right for the townspeople to decide on if this should fail or not, then there's no guarantee at the next town meeting that we have in 2015 that warrant's not going to be written the same way.
But there will be a right for the town to vote.
I was told last year that it was going to happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, the planning board's been working on these ordinance changes now for.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the planning board. The planning board never even got to the point because
But it has to start. It's an ordinance change, right? So it has to start with the.
it never got to people because it was written in a whole different format. The comprehensive planning board elected to write.
You're getting confused, Jack.
Comprehensive plan doesn't write ordinances, Jim.
I'm sorry, they gave advice to the plan. They were going to give advice to how the planning board was going to write the warrant.
The comprehensive plan sets out the vision for the particular areas. It doesn't write the specifics of the ordinance. And I went to the public hearing, and when your townhouse corner was brought up, it seemed to me there was a number of people who objected to the limited amount of space that it was encompassing. Other people wanted to be included in that. And I thought that's why the planning board decided, you got to take a look at this because there's more people who want to be included in this townhouse corner district. I mean, I remember Mr. Lovejoy being here, and there was
Exactly.
somebody
So
else there, I can't remember what his name.
That leads me to another question. So we have four parties here, 2 that are opposed and 2 are against. And then I go to the planning board meeting after a workshop, and maybe try to have dates right now. I go to the planning board, and it's no longer a workshop, it is their regular scheduled meeting. And at this meeting, the planning board was told that they did not allow for Mr. Lovejoy or Mr. Thibodeau's properties to be included in the townhouse corner. Why? You've got 2 people opposing, 2 people that have asked for the request. Why are they not given the opportunity to have that voted on? You got 2 people out of 26 parcels. I thought we had the democracy to vote.
The people that were opposed were people that were directly affected, that were neighbors right there.
But you also have 2 people that want it.
I understand
It's
that,
a
but,
50-50. Why is that not a
I mean, the planning board's in they're in a hard spot, right? I mean, one minute, people show up and they're like, okay, we want this, and the next meeting, people show up and they're like, well, no, we don't want this. So they're kind of in a tough spot.
They are, so why
And
not
they
bring
made
up
a
the
decision
people?
based on what they got feedback from the public that night. And that's why they made that decision, because there was strong opposition on the public. And they said, well, no, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
So the other nights before that don't count. The other workshops and the other meetings.
What would you like them to do, Jen? I mean,
I'd like to put it up to the town to vote. I want the townspeople of Arundel to vote.
What are we voting
well,
on? Just the townhouse corner
yeah,
ordinance. So that's what you're
Correct.
telling the folks.
it's the extension of the townhouse corner district to what's the name of the road again? John Clough Lane.
But that hasn't happened.
No.
No, we're supposed to be on the agenda Thursday to see if they will consider
Right.
adding the 2 lots, so those lots that are down there, where 2 businesses are already been there. Mr. Lovejoy's been there since the 80s. He's gone from commercial to residential to grandfathered to not knowing where he is. I went from commercial to residential to not knowing where I am.
Could I have your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Bob Thibodeau. So we weren't, I can only speak for myself, I cannot speak for Mr. Lovejoy. Weren't aware of the workshops going on, and then when it was brought to my attention, as a property owner, that would have been abutting the proposed new district, we weren't even informed of meetings. So when we did find out about it, Richard and I both came here and requested to see if, where they stopped right at the beginning of our roadway, to include that road with our properties where there are businesses located down there now. It seemed very positive on that meeting. I was not able to make the next workshop, and then we came to the last meeting, and too many things happened and it wasn't able to be discussed. Hopefully it will be on this agenda. My concern is that if we're not on that, they've also got the ordinance for construction lots or storage facilities. I believe that's going to be taking that wordage out. But that is not even, that's going to go on that group ordinance or change it one shot as well. So if this whole plan fails, we're back in limbo, and it leaves Richard and I both in an area we don't know what we could ever do with our properties. Do we have to tear down our buildings and build a house? Because
Well, you're right. I mean, at the public hearing, I thought there was a favorable reaction to including
I thought so as well, because
But that's only the public hearing stage of things.
correct, but I'm not sure what changed the planning board's mind. If there was a couple residents that are located on the Senate Road, which are far enough away from both of us, I realize that concerns are probably years down the road with what could happen. But if you group in the townhouse with the commercial lot and it's all massed together and not separated out on the town warrant for the townspeople to be able to vote on, you lose everything instead of possibly getting certain things passed so the town can go forward with their comprehensive plan and establishing areas for businesses in the town to be able to grow economically as well.
So he's asking for a separate warrant, again, for a separate warrant article.
Right, and I don't think this board objects to that, but the planning board has to put the meat on the bones.
And I gotta figure out why the planning board is kind of being on a seesaw, one minute they're good, the next minute they're not.
Yeah, I think the planning board was just reacting to, you know, some public comments and, you know, they were strongly against it. And what the planning board tried to do was they tried to put contractor storage yard in that district to appease what you folks are doing over there.
But it's all grouped together in one warrant article for the townspeople to vote on, and if the town decides to vote against Route 1,
But
townhouse.
we're not even close to putting it on the warrant yet. I mean, when the time comes, I mean, they could put the contractor storage yard separately and put the townhouse corner district separately and DB1 separate. I mean, by that time, the planning board will be in a better position because they're trying to rewrite the whole ordinance now.
And that's not the planning board's decision anyway.
Yeah, it's our
That's this board's decision as to how the warrant articles are structured. So if the townhouse corner district is complete, they have public hearings on it, they don't change it, we'll put it on a warrant, stand alone, at least I would.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Well,
problem with
the
it.
information I keep getting from the town planners, he wants it all in one big package.
Yeah, he doesn't get to make that decision.
That's what he said.
I guess that's the frustration, Mr. Dan.
It's Tom, please.
Linda, please state for the
Linda Zoo. Basically, you went to the workshop, and it was all, John Clough Lane was included. You go to the next town meeting, the next planning board meeting, and it's taken out. And when, where, how, and that's exactly what we're doing, we're seesawing back and forth. And the frustration, especially Jen and I have, I mean, we're gonna coming up to the third town meeting, the third year we've been working on this. And it's, you know, we just keep going back and forth and back and forth. I mean, the comprehensive plan was approved and it's gonna happen, but are we gonna spend a whole year and not get to vote on this until June because we keep changing our mind? We need someone or somehow this going back and forth has got to stop, and decisions need to be made so we can go forward. I mean, this is the third year we've been working on it, and the first, I mean, like you said, we hosted the first two workshops. First workshop, nobody came. Second workshop, we had nothing but positive results except for one person, and really, other than business should all be on Route 1, that was their only objective. It should be on Route 1. Everybody else there from the town, I mean, from that district, was in favor of it, and they wanted it to happen. We're going along thinking, okay, this is going to happen, and then, no, can't. It's all going to be grouped together. No, it's not going to be grouped together. No, we can't do this. It's going to be written. I mean, we're just getting tired.
So let's
Tired.
move forward. I mean, the board is going to make a decision when the time comes. You know, we'll have that discussion on how we want these warrant articles. And these comments that we're hearing tonight, you know, we'll take that into consideration when it comes. And I think most of us will probably would rather see that as separate articles. And we'll talk to the planner, and I'll talk to the planner and make sure that they work it that way. But, you know.
I think the planner's been talked to. I mean, quite a few times about this. We brought it up before it even went to town vote. We brought it up at a comprehensive plan. We brought it up at the planning board. I mean, we can only go to so many meetings. I mean, well, sorry.
And we appreciate
I know
you folks coming to
you
the
volunteer
meeting.
your time too. But, you know, when you're running.
Go ahead. You had a comment?
I just.
Oh, hold on, Jen. I had somebody else here.
Paul Sofrella, I live on the Senate Road. I was at that August 14th meeting, and I want to tell you something. I watched the town planner and another gentleman sitting right where you are, and they were discussing the definition of small. What the hell? Small is small. You got a lot size, you're going to put a building in there, you can use a certain percentage of the lot to put your building in, and up to a maximum of 5,000 square feet. What's so hard about that? And yet, they sit there, they spend a lot of time. Two gentlemen, by themselves, they ignored Donna, they ignored another person here who wanted to speak. It's a public meeting and they were invited. Come on, let's get on the ball here.
Well, I mean, you know, they have to, I know it seems crazy to define small, but there are other folks that will take advantage of that and say, hey, small is.
I'm not buying that.
We've seen it. I mean, it
I
is
know you've
actually
seen
happening.
it. I know I've seen it too,
The
but
board is just
come
trying
on,
to
let's get on
protect,
the stick here.
they're trying to protect themselves, trying to protect the town, trying to protect all the neighbors, so.
Listen, I want to say one more thing. This is the United States of America. People have the right to try. They have the right to fail. That's the name of the game. They can either fail or succeed, but they have the right to try. And nobody should take that away from them. Right? That's what my old boss used to say. They laughed at it.
Then we get to.
Well, I just want to say, as a taxpayer, I want to be put on the record before so that I am asking for the removal of a town planner. Under the ethics code that we're all supposed to be following under a town planner, while the public interest is in question and continues to be, both as general principle and its case-by-case application, it requires a contingency held view of the policies, actions that best serve the entire community. I want to go on record in telling you and informing you that he is creating nothing but chaos. He loves to have the politics fly. He's supposed to be part of our economic development. He's done nothing but hinder the process. And the frustration is building up. And I feel that the $70,000 that we pay this person, nothing in the 2 years that I've put on the EDC seen any development from, to go to better use for our town. It's a lot of money that our town is missing out on, not being used, and I feel that he's put a lot of people through a lot of unnecessary money.
Well, I was at some of the meetings, and the town, a lot of the people at the meeting on the comprehensive plan who've been on it, were on it before, and then some of the planning board wanted to do something separate things for that town warrant and get a few of the things. Chris was here, and the town planner did some things that were completely opposite with the laws and rules and regulations, I think. And so the whole thing got thrown away because there wasn't enough time to advertise. And a lot of the people thought that it was going to be able to warrant different parts of that plan that they put together, the comprehensive plan. Probably all you people had input, everybody had input into the thing, and it didn't get through because the planner said it couldn't get through that way. It seems like it could. And I know that a lot of people that I speak with, one person one day just said, I think the town planner is just writing insurance policy. Every time he writes something wrong in the plan, he knows he's got another year to rectify it. He's got another 70 grand. So now he's been here 3 or 4 years. There's 210 grand he's gotten from the town and really not produced, in my eyes, that much. And I hear that those comments from a lot of people that would like to move to run with the bill to do different things and not build saloons as other people thought, because I got the zoning change. They thought Route 1 was going to be a whole thing of saloons up and down Route 1. I only see one there. And things been going on. And I know when I thought get a certificate of occupancy or something like that, the town planner has slowed it down. And maybe he's looking at technicalities and stuff like that, but it seemed wrong. So I agree with her on that I think we need to look at something else for a town planner. Or maybe somebody come in and work part-time and help the town out, or maybe get the comprehensive plan or something, because this is going to go on, like she said and Linda said, another year, and she's not going to get what she needs, and Tidwell's not going to get what he needs, Lovejoy won't get everything he needs, and we need to move forward so, people can do the things they need to do, and the town has to be welcoming people into town.
Certainly take that into consideration. Anybody else have any other comments?
I agree with that, but I guess.
State your name, please.
Yeah, Bob's Linda's first husband. But, here's some paper, because it's all about Todd, Taffy, not Todd. Yeah, but I actually had a long conversation
actually had a long conversation today with Tad and Todd at the back of the fire station. Tad didn't realize.
Get it right, Bob, you really put me out there.
You know, we stood there for a while and we went back and forth, and I'm not gonna call Tad a liar. We'll have a conversation, you guys can base your own opinion, but he made a few statements in front of Todd, and then we can read that. But we do the best I think.
That we addressed.
Yeah, this is, I saw this today.
I'm not used to this level, Steve. If this was a little bit taller and I could lean on it, I'd be doing
I
better.
feel right at home.
I would. And back to that townhouse corner district. I should have brought more copies of this, but someone went around and they just addressed this as from Harry and Sue, and they handed this out this weekend around the townhouse corner district. I guess I gotta read the whole thing, because I didn't make copies. Can I stand next to you?
I can make copies, Bob.
No,
I listen to you talk.
I haven't, really, I told you, I quit school in the 4th grade. I didn't read this much in my 4 years of learning.
Floor is yours,
But I guess I
Mr.
gotta read this, you know. So it's from Harry and Sue, possible problems with proposed townhouse corner district. And Tad helped, I guess, inform these people on some of these issues. The planning board is currently in the planning stage of, can I borrow your glasses?
Bob, you want me to read it for you?
No, I'm
I do it all the
52,
time.
you know what I mean? I'm 52, I can't see like I used to.
Are you that old, really?
Never know looking at me. I don't dye my hair either. The planning board is currently in the planning stage of the proposed townhouse corner district, which would extend from Log Cabin Road to Arundel Road. See attached map number 1 provided by the town planning committee. The intent of this district is to reestablish it. Here we go with that word, small scale commercial, and he puts those in big black letters, and service center, and create a new gateway to our community in context and compatibility with existing businesses and residences both in Arundel and across the street in Kennebunkport, having small-scale businesses that serve the local community and neighbors can be a benefit to and increase the value of residential properties in the neighborhood. Then in big black letters, scaling of these businesses is of the utmost importance as to how it affects the community. Manufacturing causes environmental issues such as dirt, noise, and toxins, both airborne and affecting water quality, are usually a detriment. So I'm reading this kind of screwed up because his punctuation is screwed up. It's not me.
There it is, Sally.
It's Harry and Sue. They didn't put their last name on. Decreasing property values and do not comply with the intentions and scope of the proposed townhouse district. He's referring to what Mr. Lovejoy and Mr. Thibodeau want to do by extending it over there, as I read further in. It appears the landowners are requesting to make changes that would change this intent. A further petition has been made by the current property owners of 4 lots located near John Clough Lane to be included in the new townhouse corner district. These lots were not included when the voters approved the townhouse district. The inclusion of these 4 lots increases the townhouse corner district by approximately 25% in land size. These 4 lots, if combined together, are deep enough to extend from Log Cabin Road all the way back to the floodplain of the Goff Mill Brook on Sinnott Road, just past Red Apple Campground, which is not identified on the town map provided, being map number 1. The total land mass of these 4 lots could be recombined, again subdivided into 2-acre parcels to maximize the total number of allowable 5,000 square foot facilities. This would allow for an increase in excess of 20,000 square feet that would currently be allowed. No laws or rules as of now would prevent this. A change as described could hardly be considered small-scale commercial area, per the intentions of the original district plan. And this is where Tad comes in and he starts to kind of confuse things and kind of prolong things. This fact was confirmed by Tad Redway, the town planner, and referred to this later as the nightmare scenario at the zoning workshop meeting on July 24, 2014. due to public concern from adjoining property owners at the end of the July 24th, 2014 zoning workshop meeting. These businesses currently located on the two farthest back lots from Log Cabin Road. At the meeting of August 14, 2014, the landowners of John Clough Lane were reassured by the town planner that changes to the current land use regulations for the contractors would cover their existing structures without any problems. In spite of these reassurances, at the end of the meeting on August 14, 2014, these landowners repetitioned the planning committee to again be included into the townhouse district. The planning committee again decided to put this on the agenda of the August 28, 2014 meeting to consider including these four lots. This is an indication of a possible intent for future financial gains by liquidation to other prospective owners, with a worst-case scenario of a manufacturing area that could be much greater than current 20,000 square feet limit for the existing four lots. In all fairness, it would be reasonable to allow inclusion of the first lot bordering Log Cabin Road to the depth of that lot only in the townhouse district. This would not deprive them of the same economic advantage of their southeastern neighbor. They go on. Want me to keep going? How much time we got? My wife and Jen got 2 years into this, right? Now they bring me into this. Other than that, I wouldn't be here, but they drag me in because I own forefathers. Another possible detrimental fact is that the parcel that contains the 7,016 square feet structure, which was formerly Forefathers Tavern, establishes commercial frontage with a significant distance from the corner of Senate Road and Log Cabin Road, establishing the precedent for commercial property frontage on the northeast side of the Senate Road. Given the size of the structure at 7,016 square feet, in order for the business at this location to be profitable, it would seem highly probable that the usage of this building would again be a restaurant and bar with live entertainment, assuming a liquor license can be attained, catering to local residents year-round. There would be allowed approximately a 312 patron capacity based on 15 square feet per person per the state fire marshal's code, with typically 1/3 of the space reserved for preparation service areas. At the zoning workshop meeting of July 24, 2014, residents who lived on Senate Road at the time Forefathers Tavern was in operation, 70s, right? 70s, 80s, I don't remember it, and I've been drinking since 1979.
90.
But these people have only lived here for 9 years, but they're described as forefathers. Reported that the bar significantly increased traffic and noise extending into late night between midnight to 2 a.m. typically. I won't make any comments, Bentley.
I live a half a mile from that place, I've never heard of
That's right, and I live down the street and I never did either, you know? But these people were living
Okay, let's not, no banter back and forth.
Oh. Right, we'll do that when we meet the plan. There are already exits from the Forefathers Tavern location, a back egress driveway that goes onto Senate Road. At the zoning workshop meeting of July 24, 2014, residents who lived on Senate Road at the time Forefathers was in operation spoke of the times that patrons would use this driveway, often speeding and creating excessive noise and disruptions from midnight to 2 a.m. Other residents living on Senate Road at this time confirmed that. This back exit driveway obviously may have been used by patrons of questionable sobriety to avoid law enforcement surveillance at the corner of Log Cabin Road and Senate Road provided by Kennebunkport. This would again be used by them if allowed by zoning without restrictions, because evidently the enforcement back then is the same as it is now. There's not. If you're in a Arundel, you get away with murder, and if you go to Kennebunkport, they catch you. That's what he's probably trying to say. And I'd have to agree with him, because we waste a lot of money with the sheriff, too. The attached aerial map number 2, which outlines the total proposed commercial district, shows that the entire northeast side of Senate Road from the Brook floodplain to Log Cabin Road will be bordered by commercial properties. This action will leave only 4 parcels contained within the defined area north side of Senate Road without abutment to commercial property. Buying property abutting commercial real estate is generally not an attractive feature for prospective buyers, possibly reducing the value for resale by the current residential owners. Residents on the south side of Senate Road in the area could possibly be affected as well. And then it was, please attend the next planning committee meeting on Thursday, August 28, 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Mildred L. Day School, Limerick Road, Arundel, Maine. Now is the time to voice your concerns before it's too late. So, they're handing this out in the neighborhood. They're handing it out to people that all want this to take place. Jen brings it to my attention, winds me up on Saturday. I lose sleep over it. I wake up Sunday morning, my wife says, what are you all ugly about? Jen pissed me off. Sorry about that. So today, I go down to town hall. Jen says, go down there and find out if Harry and Sue are even residents in Houghton, the town. Well, what's their last name, Jen? She gives me the information. I go down to the town hall. I walk in and it's, oh, I gotta go to tax. So I go up. Tad's sitting at his chair. He's got someone there. He kind of looks at me and looks up and he looks at me. He says, not now. And I had all this in my hand, and I said, I'm not here to see who's tax collector here. Oh yeah, she's here. You can see her. I go in and see her, but I think he saw this in my hand as I walked by. So I went in and he can hear me talking, and I said, Harry and Sue, Porter, I think, 73 Senate Road. We determined that they're voting residents. They live here, they've been here 9 years, so that's fine. I just wanted to see if some of these Florida people claim their residency in Florida to evade Maine state income tax. Is that why you go to Florida?
Not no more.
Just kidding. So anyway, I walk out. Tad's vanished because I wanted to talk to Tad about what I handed you guys. Can't find him. Happened to walk out, and unfortunately, Todd was standing at the back corner of the fire station with Tad, and that brought upon another hour of conversation. Who did most of the talking?
You,
Did I say a lot that was wrong?
90% of it was you. I can't,
All right, that's right. So anyway, I go out, and Tad's
it's
there.
not my show.
So Tad has helped these people write this. That's our town planner, who's trying to bring business to this town and increase economic development and get a tax base. The nightmare scenario. So, Tad, can you define the nightmare scenario? This is well, Richard Lovejoy and Bob Thibodeau with some land over there. And they want to combine it with some other people. And it's zoned commercial, because we put this all through. And we'll use Phil, for example. He's a local estimator. They call Phil Labby. And he comes over and he puts $500,000 worth of roads in there for Richard and Mr. Thibodeau or whoever. And he creates 20 little commercial lots. And we'll say they're valued at $100,000 a piece, and they're out in the woods off the log cabin. No one can see them. If you look at the map that he kind of where their land is, it's behind the Framwalk campground. You can't see it from any road. I said they put 20 lots in there. Let's use an even number, $100,000 a lot. He spends $500,000. He's owned the land forever. He's got 20 lots. They're $100,000 a piece. That's $2 million we just increased in tax base for the town, right, in value, with no impact on the town. No kids in the schools, no one collecting food stamps, nothing. Then they all sell, and then we build some $150,000, $200,000 buildings. Now we got 20 lots over there that are out in the woods, Dad. No one can see them. They're not bothering anyone, except maybe Harry and Sue, but they can't see them either. And now we got $6 million in tax base for the town of Arundel that nobody knows is there. He looks at me, kind of mad, and he says, but they don't belong there, they belong on Route 1. So I was standing there. I said, who says they belong on Route 1 other than you? What's wrong with them going there? You don't understand. That's not a good thing to tell me. So we kind of got beyond that. We had other conversations, and he said, Well, Mr. Thibodeau and Mr. Lovejoy are fine with what I'm doing. Didn't he say that?
I may not have been there for that part of the conversation.
Yeah, you were
I don't
patient,
remember
smoking a
any-
lot of
I
cigarettes.
don't remember any references to Mr. Thibodeau. so-
Well, Mr. Lovejoy and Mr. Thibodeau are very happy with what I'm doing. Well, I just left Mr. Thibodeau and I got Mr. Lovejoy's voicemail on my cell phone. They're not happy. But he says that for what would be Todd's benefit. Because he likes to say things for people's benefit. I'm not going to call him a liar. He just maybe likes to say things to make himself feel good and make himself look good. I said to him, well, since Mr. Thibodeau and Mr. Lovejoy are happy, what about Paul LaRiviere? He's Southern Maine Marine. And you were standing there for this one.
Oh, I've been-
He
I've
said,
been to this one.
Paul LaRiviere was just here this morning, thanking me for everything I've done for him at Route 1. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be where he is today. I said, really? He was here thanking you? Right?
I didn't hear the.
He said
He wouldn't be here today.
where he
but-
was, far along as he was, or whatever it was. You heard him say he thanked you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He was
has.
at the town hall thanking. So now there's that letter. Where's my copy?
That's older, Bob. That we
Oh.
addressed, that's
all
been
taken care of.
taken
Oh,
care of.
no, it's
We've
not
met
taken
with
care of.
Paul LaRiviere
No, I
since
talked
then
to
twice.
I talked to him today. This isn't not in
I
regards
talked
to
to him
Paul's.
today, too.
It's not Paul's project. It's in regards to the issue with Tad. So if you read at the bottom, because the last email on the top was at 1:06 today to me, which I don't even email, but Mr. LaRiviere, who's so happy with Tad and went to town hall to thank him this morning, writes me an email this afternoon at August 25th, 2014, 1:06 p.m. And then, but do we want to start at the beginning and read where we got to that? How happy he is with Tad? And he said that in front of Todd. Where's my copy?
Did Tad tell you that he
Oh, everyone loves Tad.
lost that?
Ted,
I'm
I'm not here to address.
Out of interest.
So, can we read, listen, we gotta do this.
Let
It's
me
been going on
first-
for 2 years.
Let me first, Bob, say that Ted did not admit that he wrote that, and I strongly, 99%.
I didn't say he wrote it. I didn't say he wrote it. I said, you give them information just enough to fire them up and get them going to write something like this.
But all of that information is on the website, on the
Oh, I
videos that
know.
they watch, the pieces that
I
they
know,
want. I'm just-
I know. People go in, Tad picks and chooses who he wants to talk to and who he wants to help. And by creating this controversy, like they said, we got another year of waiting for Tad to use all these big words and confuse anyone. He doesn't write anything in black and white. He doesn't write it in layman's terms, because most of the people that are working and living in Arundel doing all this work and paying their taxes, they haven't gone to college for 7 years. They don't have degrees. They just go to work every day. And they pay their taxes, and the taxes keep going up. And we can't build more houses to pay the taxes, because that just impacts the school system. So we do need the commercial. This is all about, I'm beating up Tad right now, but I told him to his face today that I was going to beat him up tonight, and there were a lot of people that didn't show up that were going to, because they don't want to, because they still have things that are pending. I said, Tad, I don't care. It's not about money with me or my wife. My wife's father, my wife's grandfather rolled the roads for the town of Arundel. He was the road commissioner. He rolled them for the slaves. He didn't plow them. My kids are the 5th generation. My wife's not here to just cash in some, flip some property and head out of Dodge. Neither am I. I've refused 4 times more than I paid for forefathers. I haven't sold it. Why? I got 3 kids. One of them's here right now. He's standing in the back. He said, Dad, you're not going to sell that, are you? That wasn't my glasses, was it?
No, that wasn't recorded.
Oh, good. Maybe I did it on purpose.
Probably.
So anyway, we're not here to just cash in real estate and fly. My wife wants what's best for Arundel. I got property in Biddeford. I got property in Arundel. I got property in Kennebunkport. I'm going to tell you, you go to Kennebunkport, they welcome you with open arms. What can I help you with? You go to Biddeford, it's the same way. You come to Tad Redway, can't do that, can't do this, you don't understand. Okay, yeah, you can. 2 months later, you can't. Anyway, back to Paul LaRiviere, thanking him today, how happy he was. Well, let's start at the bottom. Am I going to read that? You don't want me to? You already read it? No. Do you think he's happy with it? After reading it all and reading the last line. Well, let's read the last line for the public. For the guy that was happy. With the glasses.
They're right there in front of you, Bob.
So he says to me, this is what I've been dealing with I had an offer to move to Bedford. I had to put a lot of thought into it, not move. Tax tips, Pine Tree Zone, working with vocational students, etc. I was too far into it to move. Due to the events of things, I am 2 months behind. But in another, on the paragraph before, he responds to Tad, and you guys, did you guys get this letter? You said you were aware of all this.
Yeah.
About, don't label this town as business friendly. I don't see it that way. And then he puts cheers with a bunch of exclamation points after it. Now, why did he put cheers? Because when Tad told, and Phil will be able to answer this question probably, when Tad told Paul, I gotta read that because it's unbelievable. He tells Paul, also, the design engineer must certify all phases have been constructed in accordance with the plans before certificates of occupancy are issued. I'm going to be a stickler about this, and you are going to have to sign off on all drawdowns. I want you out there when I am out there inspecting. So Paul, meaning Paul LaRiviere at Southern Maine Marine, needs to budget accordingly. So I said to Tad today, after I said, really? You had to see Tad's face when I pulled this out from under the stack of papers when he told me that Paul was just in there thanking him for all he's done this morning, around 11 o'clock, and I got this email at 1. And then I read it to him. So I said, Tad, really? You got that much time on your hands? As we're excavating in the town, and we got to have sewer lines inspected, or water lines inspected, or drainage inspected, you're going to be able to run right out there with this $125 an hour engineer, because Dad Boyce works for me too, he's $125 an hour. He said, you want to go to every inspection now. So Phil Labby's building a road somewhere, and he's got to close the road up. We're going to call Tad and say, the engineer's going to be here in 20 minutes. Be here. You think that's going to happen? Know what Tad's response was? Well, I'm not that busy. You heard me argue with him.
He didn't say
What did he say? He said something. I said maybe
there aren't that many jobs going on.
there aren't that many jobs going on. And I said, so you're gonna tell me right now you're gonna come out and hold hands with every engineer that we're hiring privately to inspect projects. And he said, there's not that much going on right now. I said, that's why I don't think we need you anymore, Tad. Because if you're going to go out and hold the engineers' hands that are going out doing all these private inspections, we haven't had enough time getting Jim Nagel to come out. He's busy enough. If you're not that busy, we don't need you. But the moral of it all is, Tad is not doing anything to help businesses.
Yeah.
Period. Kennebunkport is saturated. There's nothing left. They want to migrate out. They need a place for the trolleys. They need places. The town of Kennebunk has approached me, and Kennebunkport, what are you doing with 4 farms? We need a place to put Bill Gates trolleys. We need to develop that. Like a business, we need something. It's like, talk to Werner and tell Werner, who's the town, actually, Tad corrected me today. He said, Werner's not the planner, he's part-time. I said, exactly. Kennebunkport has a part-time planner. Imagine that. Do you think we got a lot going on compared to Kennebunkport? We don't need them. Then he said, you don't understand, I'm trying to preserve that rural character of that townhouse district. Really? What rural character? Let's start at the Franmore Campground or Red Apple. We got the bait shed for the lobstermen. We got a couple trailers. We got a couple of houses. They're nice houses. They're humble, but there's a couple. Then we got Leroy Sawyer's place. He could care less if it goes commercial. It's been commercial. It's a pit. It's a pond. We got Ronnie God who paints the lobster buoys. Then we got all my frontage, which comes up as the 800 feet, which is going to destroy the town if they built something. Get out to the corner, turn left. We got a couple of houses, 2 that have like fallen to disrepair. Then we got the guy with the metal buildings tag selling his junk old cars. Then we got my 7,000 square foot building. Then we got details, 2 metal buildings. Then we got a rundown trailer. Then we have a duplex. Then we have Sally Curtis's house. She just remodeled it. Sally's a painter. She'd love to see that be commercial. Then we got the Verizon lot with a bunch of stuff dumped there. The Verizon tower. Then we got Lenny Van Gesteck's 1969 trailer that a friend of mine rents. And then we got the boat place that's kind of in disrepair. And then we got John Clough Lane. What do we got there that we're preserving? Maybe, is that where he was talking about putting the historic district? What do we got there? What are we preserving over there? Where's the tax base? Now, when the guy came to Biddeford and he said, I want to build Biddeford Crossing, that was all houses. The big money came to town, they bought 111 from the bridge to the top of the hill. I think there were a couple people that came to complain. But eventually they all sold their places and Biddeford opened their arms and they built Biddeford Crossing. Someone goes to Kennebuck, they want to build an 80-unit hotel on a postage stamp lot on Reed's old boatyard. What does Kennebuck do? Come on in. We got a few people complaining, we'll deal with them. 80 units, $8 million building, come build it. Come to Arundel, that won't fit in with our rural character. What if someone says they want to start buying that real estate coming out of Dock Square, starting at the corners, get the cave, it's all prime real estate. The other side, I've already talked to Werner. Kennebunkport is going to plan on changing the other side of the log cabin road to commercial. They're going to beat us to it. People, of course, it's mostly swamp and it's not good land. So it's not like this is going to get developed into like a strip mall. And all Tad has to do is go look at the topographical maps and look at the land and look at the swamp and look at the ledge, and it's a no-brainer. It ain't going to change much than what it is now. You might tear a couple down and fix a couple, you might add a few. Maybe Richard will put them 25 lots in out the back, out in the woods, but if you do the wetlands delineation in there, it's not going to happen. You gotta let what's there go. Someone can buy a couple, combine them. It's got to be commercial. Who's going to pay the taxes in this town? Tad is slowing down the road. I told him I was coming here today to say it. We don't need it. Jen's got a whole list of how many towns don't have a full-time planner. Kennebunkport don't. Where's your list? Where's all that stuff you were going to read? You made me say it all. That's why I told you I didn't want to come here.
We don't need to have that list.
You sure? Why don't we? Well, so I guess the answer to tonight's question that she brought, so what do we have to do to move forward with terminating Tad?
The only way you can do it is to go to town meeting, get everybody to vote no salary for Tad in June. Easiest.
How much did we pay him last year?
Last year, I don't have that number right.
You ought to know, you ought to be close. He argued me today, it's like 71,000. Jen had the number.
Ballpark. Yeah.
71,000? He said, I don't make 71,000, only 54. I said, Dad, public records say 71,000. Well, I said, you don't count your health insurance, you don't count your pension, you don't count your benefits. Someone has to pay for that tax. Your taxable income is 71,000. Yeah, but my base was only 54. He just wants to argue. He just wants to just confuse things and let's start arguing about what his pay was. When the town records say 71, he stood there and said, it's not 71, it's 54. How much you pay taxes on last year? 71. You made 71,000. If you didn't, write the check account for 17. And then you made 54. Right? He didn't want to argue with it. What else you want to know?
I don't know anything.
Do I need to start going to planning board meetings? Because you say, well, you guys don't understand the planning process. Listen, I've been to the planning board in Kennebunkport, I've been to the planning board in Biddeford, I built out the housing in Biddeford, I went to 3 planners. Finally, Greg Hensley said, when this project's done, Bob, it's elderly housing. You're going to pay $38,000 in property taxes. They're your street lights, they're your dumpsters, you plow it, you mow it, you clean it. We'll have to send an ambulance here once in a while because it's all old people. But they're billing for that. Why have they been giving you a hard time? Can't answer that. Why is Tad giving everyone a hard time? Why aren't we getting anywhere? Why has it been 2 years? You know how many buildings they bought and sold and torn down in Kennebunkport and built hotels, motels, restaurants in the 2 years? Some of them had to go through contract zone and they're now standing and open. And we're still standing here open. Pretty good, huh?
That was great, actually. Right there.
You want to see me when I'm drinking?
I am, Bob.
Oh yeah, here's all the towns that don't have a planner. Acton, Alfred, Buxton, Cornish, Dayton, Lebanon, Livingston, Limerick, Lyman, Newfield, bunch of part-time ones, Shapley, Waterboro, York has a combo, they share this. Town of York shares a planner. We don't need Tad anymore. He's done nothing. I told him today, if you were in the private sector, 2 years like you have been here, or however long you've been here, with no net gain, I said, what have you done for the town? What have you done for the town to justify whatever we paid you for 2 or 3 years? You don't realize it. No, tell me what you did. He couldn't tell me. I said, if you were in the private sector, with your results, you wouldn't have lasted 2 months, never mind 2 years. You've done nothing to benefit the town of Arundel's tax base. And he hasn't. That's all I'm telling you. He needs to go. And what do we got to do next? You really want me to tell him, what do I got to do next?
That's the next step.
How long does it take? Are you guys quicker than the planning board?
Yeah,
No.
well, town meeting lasts, not that long.
And in regards to this zone, forefathers isn't for sale. You know what I mean? They're clouding this whole thing with forefathers. It's not for sale. I'm not opening a restaurant. Ask Bentley how fun it is. You know what I mean? But forefathers could be a visitor center. Bill Gay needs a home for the trolleys. The town of Kennebunkport, because Bill Gay keeps his trolleys at Dick McCabe's. It's not zoned for it, but they know they need it. But he actively has to find a spot for those trolleys. He approached me. I said, "No, can't do nothing. It's not zoned for it." He said, "I love it." He said, "If I ever want to sell my trolley business, all I have are trolleys. I don't have a home base. I can't sell someone a trolley business that operates in Kennebunkport and Cape Porpoise and have them move it to Sanford, to drive the trolleys to Sanford area. They need to be right here. The trolleys could go there. There's a lot that could go there. You can't limit that. You can't limit the seating. Because back to the forefathers thing, you can't make money with a 300-seat restaurant. You can't. But you can't make one with 50 seats either. You can't be like just making that zone so restricted, because that's what he's doing. Making that zone so restricted that, yeah, now it's commercial, but you still can't. You got your way, but you're not getting it, is what it's coming down to. What do you think?
What?
All of it.
It's long, Bob.
So why? Now that's good. It's been 2 years. And I've been listening to my wife and Jen for 2 years, and they got no results. Why is it? And I asked him today, why are you trying to put performance standards into land use? What do you mean? He's putting in there, has to be wood. All these structures have to be finished in wood, only a little bit of brick, no vinyl siding, no this, everything has to be paintable. If you read that zone thing, I said, really? Any of you maintaining wood buildings? What's your house? What? You like painting that? What's it look like after 2 or 3 years when you don't paint it? So we're going to put something else in the land use that says you got to paint your building every 2 years, you got to make it look pristine. I said, well, you need that. You have to do that no matter where you go. It's like NOTAB. When I go to Biddeford, they say, bring a plan to the planning board, design your building, put it. If they don't like the way it looks, they have you move a couple things. He's telling you where to put your windows, how the windows got to be configured. You got to have a parapet. You got to have this. You got to have that. What's he maintain for property? What's he know about snow removal, shoveling? He's screwing that whole thing up. As far as I'm concerned, they don't like it. But I said stop, because it's wrong anyway. The only one's going to suffer right now is Thibodeau and Lovejoy and Jen, because Lovejoy can't sell. Thibodeau, you're probably fine. I shouldn't speak for you standing right there, but he's just worried about the future. He'd rather see it done right than done wrong, and then he has gained nothing. Get rid of the cat, start over, and do it the right way. Because you can't start in the middle. He's got it all screwed up. It's not going to work. And then we'll have to start over again because it's still not.
Okay, so I'm going to move this along. The board will have some discussion at some point.
Well, Tad needs to go.
Anybody else from the public before we move on, have any other comments? Hold on a second. Anybody else? Go ahead.
If the consensus is that you didn't want Tad, it's why does he have to wait for 1 full year? He's done nothing for 4 years from what I've seen, what other people told me. I've had a lot of people come up to me that wanted to build businesses in Arundel, and they get scared away because they go see Tad, and they're worried about having to spend all this money on legal fees, engineering, and then put a deposit on the land, and people won't give a non-refundable deposit. They want a non-refundable deposit. They're afraid to do it because he's going to be a roadblock for every time they want to do some building or put a business in. And the things he said, exactly what Bob said, he wants gable ends on one end of the building and not on the other, and he wants certain windows, and he doesn't want any vinyl siding, he doesn't want cement block, he wants all this stuff that is unnecessary to start building. People need to come in and build, get tax revenue for the town, for the residents of Arundel that are not putting kids in school, and then let the people, if the building's not nice enough, then let somebody else come along, like Ben Madul will come along and buy it, and nice dealership in or something that's gonna pay taxes, and he'll clean that up, or somebody else will. Look at what, Champion Auto, what Chad did across the street from Mario's. Now look at Mario's, you know, and it's just, it's quaint, it's neat looking, it's nice looking stuff. And he put the car and the truck up on top of that pedestal, he put some rocks out front. Mario's got all those cars out front. Live and let live, and let the people build.
I don't know what the process is, and you know, this board is gonna have to take these comments into consideration and decide on how and what we want to move forward. So I don't have an answer for you right now, and I wish I did, but I don't have an answer, and I think it's something that we'll have to discuss at some point in time, and very near future, and see, you know, how to move forward.
So what you're saying, Todd, is that it'd take a year to, if the consensus is people didn't want it, and they thought it was costing us a lot of money, which I believe it is, because we're not getting business in town. So we're gonna be a year stuck with him for another year?
The question that was asked to me is how do we get rid of him? We get rid of him, not administratively, I get rid of him, or the selectmen get rid of him, which they don't really have the purview. If nothing happened and he was still here at town meeting in June of 2015, all of you come into the room, make a motion not to approve the town planner's salary, remove it from the warrant article, and that's how residents get rid of people.
And if you listen to the consensus of the people like Jen and Bob and myself and other people that have businesses, because I know Chad with Champion Auto's not happy with him, Mario's not happy, Fritz is very unhappy. I went to see Fritz today, he's in the hospital, so he couldn't come to the meeting. But speaking in his behalf, as I've heard him talk before, I know he's definitely not happy. He didn't like the way that Tad was trying to change the zoning on his land without him, and then that's why the planning board had to stop and didn't give it to the selectmen. That's why you guys didn't get it, because Tad had things in there that were impossible, illegal to put in, and Fritz would have hired a lawyer to fight it, and it would have gotten reverted, and he wanted to do it on a lump sum zoning change, not just pieces. And one of the people on the planning board thought it was going to be in pieces too. You probably remember that, don't you, Dan? And it was supposed to be when they had spoken with Tad before, and then all of a sudden, 31 days before, or whatever it was, before it had to be advertised, it couldn't be advertised that way because it was all written out as one big thing. Now, if you people didn't think he was doing a good job, if you didn't think it was good, because you listen to the people, I think, if you didn't think it was doing a good job, you can't say, well, we're not going to use you anymore, or do you have to have a town vote?
Legally, I can't comment on personnel matters in an open meeting period. So there are, it's my responsibility to supervise and reprimand any employees that work for the town. And so
May we ask to go in executive session with the board of selectmen?
it's not on the agenda.
No, at a future date,
Oh.
is that a way that the
No,
council
no.
able to do that?
The Board of Selectmen understand, by under our charter, we don't make any personnel decisions other than the town manager. That's it.
Who does?
The town manager.
Does he have a contract? Does Tad have a contract?
No, he doesn't.
So he was appointed,
By the town manager.
By the town
We do not,
manager.
we don't hire people.
so the town manager can only hire, he can't fire? Without a contract?
The town manager can do what he wants, but.
All right, I just wasn't sure.
Under certain,
Yeah.
we have personnel policy he's got to follow.
Right.
He can't talk about it here.
I can't talk about it too. Letters in writing in my office. That's,
Bruce Garrigan.
oh yes, Bruce.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Somebody else has had their hand up before.
My name's Randy Dubois. Yeah, and I'd like to say how, like, you guys give Tad credit, he ain't helping business. It's much worse than that, he ain't helping it. He makes business much worse. It might not help him, that actually sounds like he's just being neutral. He puts every stick in the wheel to slow anything down, you know, it's like... And then, like you say, you oversee everything, like with our case and everything. You didn't see nothing. You told us you didn't have nothing in front of you. Everything that you say you overlooked the townspeople, everything we sent in, you said you didn't see, and we had a meeting with you. But if we send it to you, you'd overlook it and get back to us. You never even got back to us on anything.
I think you're talking to the wrong guy. I saw it all. I read it all, responded to any questions Saul had for me.
You were supposed to get back to us. You never got back to us.
On what?
You don't remember that? When you came to our house that day, you said, no, I never seen any of this. That's what you told us. We were all there.
What's
You never seen any of this, you said, that we sent to the town. That's what you said. You said, okay, send it all to my office, I'll review everything and I'll get back to you. Before you came back to the house, you said you never seen anyone. That's the exact word you said instead of 5 of us that were there at the house.
5 of us.
5 of us were there. You said you never seen any of it. That's the exact word you used. So we sent it all to your office. You said you'd get back to us. You never got back to us. So you seen you put it there. You
At that
never
point in
got
time,
back.
it was in the
You
hands of the
got it wrong.
attorneys. At that
So
point
to
in
say you
time,
overlook things, you don't overlook nothing.
at that point in time, it's in the hands of the attorneys, and it's the attorney, you decide to have an attorney, the town has an attorney, and that's where the conversation happens.
We had an attorney because you never got back to us.
Before that,
Went to the attorney. We
What
tried to
did
settle it before the attorney. We
what's in
thought
your
you
paperwork?
never responded back at all. Then we went to the attorney.
What I just want to say is, I got a lot of friends in Old Orchard that have been business owners. They've done the same thing with them in Old Orchard.
Yes.
And they're willing to write letters to
yeah,
you.
that's what we heard.
We don't like people in Old Orchard.
That's all I can say.
So before we move on, one last call? Oh, I mean, if it's the same thing over again, we get it, we understand it.
No,
If you
it's
get
not
something
comment
new,
about
Linda,
something else.
please go ahead.
I know, well, I don't believe an agenda item other than mentioning there's a Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. They came on Court, I run the Chamber of Commerce on September 10th. And I don't know if Todd has made you aware, but our town manager, Todd Shea, is receiving an award from the Chamber for his, what he's doing in Arundel as far as helping economic development. And I think it's well deserved, and I hope to see you guys all at the annual meeting when he receives that award.
Thank you, Linda.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you for the input, folks. All right, moving on to the regular meeting here. Approval of minutes, the August 11, 2014 Selectmen's meeting.
I didn't see anything there, so I'll move that we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve, do I hear a second? Second. Any discussion?
This is there was something I saw. Oh, on the historical society, it says we see the approved waiving the bond and the application fee, not the insurance requirement. They have insurance, I saw it on the application. It's on the 4A.
Yep. So it should be just the
The
fee,
bond and the application fee.
not insurance.
We can waive the insurance.
Yeah, we do have insurance. So I amend that approval to take out that word insurance under 6A.
Second. Oh, you second, I'm sorry.
All those in favor as amended? Abstain, I was a guy. Motion passed, one abstain. Okay, committee and board reports.
Economic Development Committee will meet tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. in the Weird Motor Sales Conference Room at 1503 Bolton Road. Planning Board meets Thursday night, the 28th at 7 p.m. in the ML Day School Library. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, September 1st, 2014 in observance of Labor Day. Comprehensive Plan Review Committee will meet on September 2nd in the ML Day School Library at 7 p.m. How about that? Board Assessment Review meets on September 4th at 6 p.m. in the ML Day School Library. And Kennebunkport Arundel Annual Chamber of Commerce annual meeting will be September 10th at Loudon Pond in Wells.
What time, do you know?
That begins at 5:30.
I was gonna say, I have it on my computer, but I wasn't sure.
And the Finance Committee development has an update as well, so if you would go ahead, Selectmen.
Finance Committee met Friday, August 15th, and the new board chairman this year is Matt Fadiman. And they were talking with their bond advisor, who is with Morrison Cabot, about the construction bond and the term of the construction bond. And he is recommending 25 years. It would be a level principal payment, with the first payment within 2 years. Next, we talked about the renovation funds, and the projects with the capital projects with the renovation funds, and one of the things, if any of you went by here, the original section of the school, I believe has a new roof. I think that's finished. Bob is left, but he did the work. And that money that we voted on is going into Kennebunk High School for life safety. Kennebunk Consolidated, KCS. They're doing, at Consolidated School, they're doing some hazmat. They ran into some asbestos flooring. And they had the amount to take up the asbestos flooring, and there were bookcases. And when they went, they figured the bookcases were built in. They weren't. That asbestos flooring was under the bookcases. The bookcases had to be removed, and new bookcases replaced. So they ran into a little bit more of a cost there, but because they had less of a cost on one of their projects, they were able to move their funds around. So that worked out. And the next meeting is Wednesday, September 10th, and at that meeting, the Finance Committee is going to make the recommendation for the school board as to the amount of financing and the term and who they think their bond advisor should be. And that's a different date, because usually their meetings are held on Friday. This is on a Wednesday. Wednesday, September 10th, 7:30, Kennebunk Elementary School, Memorial 2.
May I, Mr. Chair, Tom, you had a question that should say Chamber of Commerce.
I was going to say, why is the Kennebunk Rental Chamber of Commerce being handled well?
Okay, I thought you were going to say the Chamber of Commerce isn't there. They tried last year, many of you were in attendance. It was quite warm under the tent and quite buggy, so I guess they decided to move to wells this year.
Let's vote them all.
Indoor. Well, in the barn at Loud so I guess. Chances. Plus one, Sorry, go ahead. I don't know.
Planning board report from the last meeting of August 14th. Planning board started the meeting, some bylaw revisions. There was a discussion, piece of item that they wanted to change was in the planning board bylaws. It said there was a 3-day notice for agenda, and some felt that it should be more than just 3 days, so they decided on making it a week. There were some folks here from the general public that voiced concern that sometimes the agenda comes out the day before the meeting, so they revised the bylaws. I can't remember if they revised them for 3 days or if they revised it for a week. There's a lot of discussion that I can't remember.
3 days is what I heard from the conversation.
Yeah, I think you might have kept it at 3 days, but there was some concerns that it wasn't even following that, so. The next item was, they talked about the Townhouse Corner District. Tad showed a spreadsheet of existing businesses in the district along with the square footage. Jen was there and she distributed a map of the businesses, and that map didn't agree with what Tad had, and it appears that there are some more businesses in that district that are not registered as businesses. So there was a little bit of discussion about that. There was some more discussion about the John Clough Lane property, why it was taken out. And they had that discussion about the small scale. What is small scale? They were trying to decipher what the comprehensive plan stated, and so they decided that 500 small scale is nothing greater than 500 square feet, 5,000 square feet. Ted had put in some of the uses. One of them was restaurants, and he had put in 50 seats as a restaurant not greater than 50 seats. There was a lot of discussion, not a lot, but there was a discussion from the floor as to why it was 50 seats. And Tad's comment was, look, it's there just as a discussion point. It doesn't mean that it's golden. It's just, this is something that I had to throw something, so we threw 50 seats in there. They did decide on what they were going to use for seats, but the board wanted comparables. Jen had given some comparables but they wanted some more comparables, so Ted was gonna go back, get some size and scales of some local restaurants and what their seating capacity is, so that they can get a general discussion on that. That's pretty much it. As far as that, they stopped at that because that was pretty late. Planners report, we talked about the Du Bois case going to court September 10th. Kate's Barn, there was a stop work, I guess the foundation stop work by Kate's Butternut from the town. Apparently the foundation for the cow barn was not done correctly. So they're trying to, staff is working with them to try to get that taken care of. AIM, there's a site walk for AIM on the 28th. Seasonal Cottages is getting ready to break ground. They need a credit enhancement agreement from the Selectmen. Subdivision approved 1988 Laurel Lane. They want to extend the road for one additional unit. There's some issues with that. The ordinance states that after 7 units, the road needs to be paved, so they're trying to work that out. The history of that stuff again. Mark Welch will be coming in again for a pit renewal. And did you write the comprehensive plan meeting? Yeah, comprehensive plan meets. We set again next week. And we adjourn at 9:33.
Have they made any decision, or are they still discussing about putting those 2 properties in the townhouse?
There was no decision made. They asked, they were going to discuss it some more, and they asked Ted to put it on, it's on this week's planning board agenda.
So they're all going to be here this week for the planning board, I would hope.
I can't speak for them, but I would imagine they would
I
be
would
there.
hope,
Yeah.
because if everyone in the area, the majority of those in the area are in favor of doing that, and those are already businesses there, and I don't see.
Well, Ted's point was what he had added in the ordinance allowed them to do what they're doing today. So he added the storage yard facility, I forget what you call that.
Contractor storage, yes.
Contractor storage yard, there you go. That would allow them to continue doing what they're doing today. So he thought that would appease them folks, and then also appease the neighbors who were against doing that. They want more, so, and that was going to be discussed. That's all that I have.
And that meeting is when, this
Thursday.
Thursday?
That meeting Thursday at 7 p.m. Okay, new business. So we won't do A,
We
right?
will do A.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, in front of you, you have for your consideration, mill rate for fiscal year 14-15. I've selected 3 of them to give to you. First one is the one that I recommend, because that's what I indicated at town meeting, there would be no increase. If you follow along here, the current mill rate is 14.50. We had a considerable amount of increased valuation in the town of Arundel over the past year, approximately $10 million. 3.8 million of that is in a TIF financing district, which is the CMP TIF. We were very surprised to find that. In the first year of that CMP TIF district, we're going to be, the Arundel Fire Rescue will receive $55,958.40 to begin the plan as to how we're going to start purchasing those apparatus and pieces of equipment. I've been awaiting these numbers from Beth so that I can meet with Chief and people in the department that he's speaking with so we can try to flesh this plan out and see, I got to check with Beth to see what the depreciation schedules are for CMP, so we don't get over ambitious on that. But they are speccing a brush truck, other pieces of equipment right now, so that we can get the specs together to review, so that we can send them out for RFP when we're ready to do so. Apologize, I strayed off topic a little bit there, but at a mill rate of $14.50, which is the current mill rate, that would give us an $8,980.68 overlay. It's not a very large overlay. That's not funding your bottom line. It's not really helping to ease the pain, but it's keeping the mill rate the same. If you look at page 2 of what I provided you, this is a mill rate of $14.52. It gives you an overlay of $17,027.59. It also bumps up that TIF financing plan amount from $55,000 to $56,000. And then on the final page, just for your consideration, I asked Beth to go up to $14.55, which would be a 5-cent increase on the mill rate. We would be at $29,000 on the overlay, and we would once again be a little higher, $56,151 in the TIF financing plan. Admittedly, $8,980.68 isn't adding very much to our bottom line, but that's the current mill rate. That was what I would recommend, unless the Board of Selectmen has any other objections to that.
I have a
Comments
question.
from the board?
Why has the land value gone down
Should've started
from
with
last
that.
year?
Okay, so the way Beth does her calculations, there are exemptions that are granted to homesteads, there are exemptions that are granted for churches, certain establishments, combining of lots. There's value lost in land when lots are combined because we charge on a first acre, back acre basis. And also, there was a piece of property that the town took possession of from Mr. Boutet. Yeah, one property. Roberge, yes, I'm sorry. And so it's technically, we technically haven't lost $505,000 in land value, but the way that those exemptions are allocated, it shows up as a negative number, and that's the first thing Beth told me today is, you know, they're gonna ask you about the negative land value. A good part of that is joining land, but above and beyond that, it's the way the exemptions are allocated. She allocates the exemptions to the land because of certain rules and regulations with the buildings. The way that the assessing is done on the buildings, it's a lot cleaner on just the land, and so that's why you saw that negative number. But there was a considerable valuation increase in Kate's Butter, considerable personal property on Kate's Butter. Once again, running machine tools provided those with a considerable amount of personal property above and beyond what they had last year. Yeah, and they added that. So these are the numbers, and these are where we're at. And is there any other questions or concerns or comments?
Well, just to get it started, I'll make a motion that we go with the town manager's recommendation of $14.50.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. I think that's a good skinny.
Any discussion beyond the point that that's real skinny?
What was
It's
our
not as
overlay?
skinny as the first year.
Yeah. What was our overlay last year?
120,000. But there was a decrease last year in the RSU appropriation. This year there's an increase in the RSU appropriation, and that's where you're seeing that difference. Because the municipal appropriation hasn't changed dramatically, at least in 3 years now.
Revenue sharing change on?
Revenue sharing we brought down, during the budget process, we brought it down to 150,000. Hopefully that's going to hold. There are rumblings that MMA might do the same thing, depending on the government. They've been this year to try to do that. Using the same tactic, the hospitals just want to go down, pay the municipalities, so.
Any other discussion on that? Seeing none? All those in favor? Motion passes.
Well, I thought you were going to, I was hoping you'd go up, so I'd be like, hey, I tried this.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you very much for that.
Okay, Selectmen authorized to spend $1,192 from the contingency capital reserve for payment of seasonal cottages TIF expenses, which is to be reimbursed by the developer.
Yes, please, and thank you.
So moved.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Selectmen discussion on negotiations with limited property owner in consideration of town hall building site.
Went well on Tuesday and they fell apart this morning, so the price is what the price is. Apparently Mr. Emerson spoke to his partner's willing to buy him out if he wants to go any lower to wash his hands of it. So price stands. I've heard from Velma that residents have told her, they told me the same thing, that the location is a good location. I haven't heard them telling me that it's not enough money or it's just priced just right. But I guess, I thought we had more of a starter here. On Tuesday, I was optimistic that Steve was willing to move. This afternoon, I spoke to him, he was not. So I guess the question is, does the board want to do any further research on this Limerick Road property to bring it forth to the voters for their disposal, or do we move on?
I think we've got to do something. The voters that I've talked to not only thought that it was a good property, especially the size of the property, because, as I've said before, they're not making any more land, and I think that even though the town isn't in the land business, we need to have a piece of property that's big enough for a little future expansion, because we've cut off our noses several times in buying property, and even this building shows that, because when this property was bought to put the school on, it was, that's all we can afford, and that's going to be big enough for what our needs are. Well, here we are 40 years down the road or so, and no, it's not big enough. So, and I even mentioned the price to the people that I was talking to, and like they said, well, when you're looking at land in Arundel, if you want a good piece of land, you're going to pay for it. I think we need to take it to the townspeople, and I know we have an appraisal that says, right now, that appraiser walking that property says it's only worth so much. But that's maybe the value right now today, but that property has big potential future value for the town. And if it goes into house lots, it has a big potential future negative for the town.
Anybody else got any more comments?
I think the townspeople should ultimately make a decision wherever we go. I think it'd be stupid not to at least let them vote.
Yeah.
I don't know if that can go on November's ballot or not.
Depending on how,
It's more expensive, it's going to cost us more money in terms of, you don't have a machine voting.
exactly. It'll be viewed as underhanded if we don't go to machine balloting because of the masses of people that are going to turn out. My concern is that, and this is my opinion, correct me if you don't agree, I think that we should have some sort of an appraisal done to be able to prepare that information for people so that they're aware of what it is we're purchasing and what it is we're dealing with. And I think it would be very wise to do what we consider doing. I would speak to George Kudalakis, the gentleman who gave us the information, to see if he could give us an at least best use appraisal. May not be what it is we're looking for, but it may be something that would come back and he could say, yes, we could use it for this, and it could potentially be worth X amount of dollars. But I think the more of that legwork we do now, so that we can get to town meeting and get to the referendums, so that we can tell people that, yeah, we've done this homework, this is how much of the lot we can use now, this is how much of the lot we need to build the building, and this is what the lot could potentially be worth. Even, run that other option is, this is the cost of this property to the town of Arundel if there were 15 house lots on it, and make that argument. But I think it would be wise to do a little more of that work. Will Conway had volunteered to do soil suitability study out there. I can get in there and do that suitability study, Roger will dig the test pits, we can get that taken care of and be forward with the voters. The problem is it'll be more expensive at a referendum election at about $800 to $1,000 per question that's programmed on the ballot.
I think we need to take it to town meeting.
Town meeting in June?
I think June.
Is that to wait that long again?
Well, that's,
Yeah.
If they're not willing to budge on the price, what's the point of spending the money on the appraisal?
Just to let the townspeople know all the information.
Yeah.
Because that question's gonna
obligation
come up.
is tell them, listen, you want to spend this amount of money, the property's not worth this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can make that choice,
yeah.
but you can't go far, I don't think you can go to the town meeting and say, hey, 300,000, we don't know if it's worth that or not.
Because somebody will ask a question.
Sure.
And what it's
Rightfully so.
worth right there today is just raw land. And I think most of us know just what raw land is worth. It's not what that value is today, it's that potential value to the town over the course of the next 20, 30, 40, even 50 years. So you need to know with the appraiser that he can give us and look down the road and give us that potential value.
Absolutely. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get that.
There's no way you can
Well,
even,
That's all speculation. He's gonna give you what it's worth now, Velma.
Yeah, what, these are the
Highest
uses,
and best use, whatever it might be.
this is what the property can be used for.
Yeah.
If it's used as this is what you're gonna get for your value, and that's what he's going to do.
This is another issue. I don't think the zone basically uses that.
At the discretion of the code officer, similar to other uses.
How is that seen?
Yeah,
That uses it.
that'll
That's
change.
another story.
Yeah.
that will change with the new ordinance, it won't be a decision.
There's another reason to wait for the ordinance.
Right.
well,
So I don't know how, I told Steve I'd get in touch with him tomorrow morning.
yeah,
He still hasn't officially broken that parcel off for the house, and until he does that, I can't really do a technical purchase and sales agreement, and then you've got a piece of, land, and then we're gonna cut something off in the future. So I'll talk to him and see if how long they're willing to entertain that DNS, and try to move forward at the next meeting. All right, thank you.
we need to do something.
Selectmen appoint Michael Peterson to the Board of Assessment Review to replace David Berg.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, you had some.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may.
Absolutely.
Make a quick comment on that subject. I agree totally with both what Velma and Adam said. Looking ahead to the image of the room, I think it's an ideal spot for the town hall that you're proposing in a rural setting. I think it sets the image and the tone for the town really forever. And anywhere else that I've seen that you've considered just does absolutely nothing for this community. Any of the spots along the route, forget about it. So I think, I agree you need to find future valuation, some assessment of that. But it needs to be done in a context of looking ahead to what this community is going to look like 20 years from now. Or maybe not looking at it. Thank you.
Okay, item D, appoint Michael Peterson to the Board of Assessment Review to replace David Berg.
Showing qualifications, he's interested in being on the board, I ask that you please appoint Mr. Peterson.
Let's improve the appointment.
Have a motion?
Second,
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. We have something to sign for him, or?
Yes, you do. Certainly, did I put it in front of you, Velma?
no, what I got was no, all I have is what was in my backup, the application itself.
Got it.
Is it in with the warrant?
Oops, right
Found
here.
it, I didn't give you both of them, so. All right.
Well, the next item is Selectmen appoint Kevin Mackel to the Recreational Committee per recommendation of the Rec Director.
So moved.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, item F, Selectmen scheduled date for workshop with town attorney and town boards and committees in regards to FOIA process and procedures.
I think it's the right time to do such a thing. At least in my opinion, Leah has not done it since I've been here. MMA is obviously not going to offer those courses anywhere near here. And I think it'd be less cumbersome to try to get everybody to come here than to send Jason and the hint in the Chinese sport for a workshop. So I'm just looking for the week, the 15th or the 22nd. Either of those weeks work better for the board. Any available dates that you're not available? You do FOIA, it's the rest of it that I want to know. Next Friday, communications, FOIA can be done online.
So that week, that's the meeting that we're having with Kennebunk. 24th?
Yes. I mean, I know it's kind of a wide open thing, and I also have to try to coordinate with as many board members as possible, so I guess I'm just kind of looking for any red flags on, I'm going to shoot for the week of the 22nd, because Leah is most available on that week, but my default week would be the week of the 15th.
This would be a 7 o'clock meeting at 9.
Yeah, and it would just be a workshop meeting for Leah to give a presentation to the boards and go over the basic rules and regulations. Well, there's no objection saying, no, don't do that week. I'll talk to Leah, I'll coordinate with the rest of the boards, and we'll come up with a date that'll work.
Good. Review and sign AB warrant. Motion, do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Old business, Selectmen Du Bois provide information on meeting recording sound options. I was on vacation all last week. I didn't do nothing on this.
You know, I told you I emailed the agenda, and I got the bounce back, and it never even dawned on me. Yeah, probably not going to do it. So.
I had too much other stuff going on.
All right, I'm going to keep working on the end I'm working on the upload speed. Those files are huge. I thought I had a solution. That file was going to take 10 hours to upload. I'm waiting for this video because there's a few programs out there that are open source software that are supposed to convert and compress into a smaller file but not affect the sound quality. So I'm going to test those different options for this meeting to see what we can do.
I'll reach back out to Ira. He didn't respond back to the last question that I asked him on the choice of link that I had. So
Okay.
I'll reach out back again and
We'll update it the next meeting. Thank you.
okay. Other business. Anybody got anything else?
Those who adjourn.
I do have a quick comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Linda Kaczynski, Campground Road. I'm just wondering if you guys come up with any agreement at all. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Any agreement about what?
This is
The situation with Stan Kaczynski. It's been a long, it's been the whole summer, and you know,
We've had discussions about that, but we can't disclose those at any time because we have a discussion with council.
how much longer is it gonna take?
We're
This is
moving things
pathetic.
as best we can. We can't discuss what we have.
Things are moving forward more than what it has been in the past. And that's pretty much all
Now
we can
let's
say.
move forward, I'm sorry. Just,
The,
right.
so, the issue that went on today was during the public outcry. How does this board move forward? What do we need to do? We need to do our end, or we need to?
Can't do anything.
Board does nothing. I'll tell you, it's come to my attention that what I'm going to be doing is attending a lot more meetings. I'm working a lot more closely with CAC. That's kind of this is kind of where the impetus was to get this meeting with Leah, to kind of have a conversation with the boards to say, make a decision and stick to it. Don't we consider these kind of things? Like I said, I'll be attending a lot more meetings. I'll be taking, assigning things to Pat until he has time to catch up. I mean, he's been running in 50 different directions, working on the comp plan, working with the EDC, working with the planning board. And so I think it was kind of disheartening when everything got shut down in May. to be honest with you, I think the planning board as well, and as much so as them. But we're gonna refocus and regroup, and I think it's a major change. I mean, we've been meeting. Bob says Paul was angry, Paul was not angry. That's a whole email. We dealt with those things are gone, those ships and sails. We've dealt with people who have been problematic in the past, who are very happy with what's going on. We're going to continue doing that, and I will also be attending the meeting. So, I think the easiest way to spearhead that.
I put it, gotta follow some steps, so here's an issue, let's address the issue, let's see if we can get the issue. He's a very smart individual, and let's see if we can work with him and make that work for the town, so.
Absolutely.
Some of their points, I agree with, and if I'm building a business and I have, somebody who's designing my house and everything for me, and I want to put on this siding, but with a plan, the code says I have to have wooden siding, the code says I have to have brick. I mean, I think that's going a little bit too narrow.
Nobody can blame Tad for that.
Right.
Right? We did that.
Right, the comprehensive review committee, the town as a whole, wanted,
We
ever
voted.
since I've been here, wants to retain the rural character.
Yeah.
And so, like Bob, I can say this, Bob can watch the video, I've known Bob my whole life. So Bob says, why do we need, this is the same thing, why do we need all these rules and regulations, why do we need this, why do we need that? Well, we don't if you want Route 1 in Saugus, or we don't if you want Route 1 in Haverhill, but if you want to retain a rural character, you can't assume somebody's going to build something that they don't want to build. And that's, in the planning board's defense, the reason that the proposed ordinances were so thick is because then you're taking away all the hard work the planning board always does. If it's spelled out there, the planning board doesn't have as much room to make those decisions and to anger people and to waver from what they're supposed to be doing. And so it was viewed as we're over-regulating, but in my reading of it, I'm trying to keep that burden off the planning board. The burden that the planning board has to make that decision, and they're the ones that get shot to hell, pardon my language. But
other
so I
choices,
see both sides of the fence because.
I mean, other choices, does it say, there are the choices of siding, choices of windows?
No,
I mean,
absolutely. Some of it was much too specific.
Yeah.
But again, in defense of Tad, he has to start somewhere.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
The 50
he gets chastised for throwing in all kinds of additional, and then he gets chastised for being, so he has to start somewhere. And that was his point of putting that information there, to start the discussion and to, I'm tired of too liberal, so.
I mean, if you're talking like a 50-seat restaurant, the biggest restaurant we ever had in town was Four Fathers.
Yeah,
There were
absolutely.
seats. I can remember when Four Fathers was in operation. I know it was in operation 94, 95.
I remember it as a kid.
Yeah, and I don't ever remember, of course, I didn't live right there at Four Fathers, but I spent enough time there that I don't ever remember the major problems. Yes, there were, back in the day, there were some major problems there. There were some fights in the parking lot. There were some people who peeled out of the back entryway. Matter of fact, I always went home that way, but is that off?
No, it's not actually.
But I mean, our average restaurant seat right now would be Bentley's.
This capacity is 1,750.
Yeah,
So,
we can't-
No, seats,
but
I'm
no,
talking
seating, I don't know
seats.
what it's seating.
You have to
Talking
look
the
at,
restaurant seats.
like the new one,
Seafood center.
the seafood center.
Seafood center.
I mean, that's a good scale right there.
Yeah.
That's what we was gonna look at, good seating capacity for that. Okay. Have a motion to adjourn, by Tom? Do you have a second?
Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion carries, adjourned at 9:55.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Even with Simone not here.